And I have the dice rollers out. We'll bring up our character builder. Yeah, it wins me every time. You're a cat that knows what you like. You are the queso cat. Sorry, I hope that slurping's not too loud with the position of the microphone. I'm trying not to be gross with any sort of inadvertent noises. You know what happens when you speak and maybe you get some saliva, or if you get a little sniffle. You know, I don't have a cold, but, you know, every once in a while you just kind of, you give a little bit of a sniffle here. And I hope that that's not, you know, coming through in, I don't know, kind of a weird way. For me, vanilla Coke is used to mix your rum. Got it. If you use the app, you can pick what you want to mix and use the QR code for the machine you're at. I'm not ready to try it yet. Even more data collection. We'll have to... It's almost like a guest espionage topic, right? Speaking of sniffing, sorry. It was actually rather nice. It was almost 60 degrees here today. Spring is around the corner. I haven't seen my tulips come up yet, nor my lilacs. My lilacs aren't blossoming just yet, but I think we're getting close. And my poor crocus are... I don't think they've come up in a couple years, so... That's how it goes. You got a bit of snow? Yeah, and Daly was saying that there was a blizzard out that way that knocked out power. What a bomb cyclone, something like that, is the popular scare you phrase. You're in the New England area. Yes, spring is around the corner, and that means for our dear friends down in Australia, such as the Gathering of Nerds, I hope it won't be as blazing hot for you as you enter the autumn, and things will be a lot more temperate. Oh yeah, that wet kind of snow, yeah. Why are we not? Do. There we go. There's some music. Okay. There we are. Don't move to South Texas either. Gets the same kind of weather as an Australian summer. Yeah, well, from what Lethality and them have been talking about, it's been a warm one. And I know that they have a bunch of fans going to keep everything circulating. Alright, so we know we're going to do a multi-classed character. Let's roll the percentile and figure out, do we have a girl, a boy, or are we going to go for the mythical 3? The 3 classes. With an 8, we have a female character. I'm going to roll a d10 to determine the race. I rolled a 10. Well, there's only 9 in the PHB, so let's roll again. A 9. We have a Tiefling. We rolled another 9. An odd favors her human aspects more. That could be culturally, linguistically, genetically. She might look more human than Tiefling. Maybe she just has little nubbins for horns. You know, a more human skin tone than, you know, red or orange kind of a thing. There's no mechanical benefit, and there's not even really anything in the player's handbook. But for our purposes, when we are trying to build a character, a background, her story, how she'd make decisions, that could be something of a tiebreaker. I'm a big baby when it comes to heat, says Misfit. More human than human. We get some white zombie going on in here. Your friend moved back to Texas. I told her if she wants to hang out again, she's going to have to come back here. Whoa, hey, Dr. Derpy, it's been a while. Welcome. I see you've been streaming off and on. I'm sorry I haven't been able to catch you in a raid, though. I hope all is going well in your corner of Twitch, and you're healthy, you're happy, and having fun. Welcome. It's great to see you. We're just getting started on building our second multi-class character. Now, her alignment, we're going to determine randomly with a percentile, actually 2 percentile rolls. 75, 92. That is going to be another chaotic neutral character. And also, Tieflings are medium, so we'll just put that there. We know that we're going to make a 16th level character, but of course, we'll determine the split when we get to it here. Of the 4 possible stat bumps that she would receive, right? 4, 8, 12, 16, could be less depending on how we split the multi-class. Let's roll a percentile and find out if any of those are going to be a feat taken instead. With a 45, it's all going to be stat bumps, so we don't have to worry about that. Next up, let's make a 13-sided die and roll it for the background of the character. We rolled a 13. She is an urchin. So an orphan, someone who's abandoned, could even be a runaway. There's a lot of different, it's kind of portrayed as an orphan more often than not, but there's a lot of circumstances that can lead to that. An urchin could even be, if we roll an adult and it's someone who's been, who's had a stroke of bad luck and has been living on the streets, homeless or something. It doesn't always have to be a poor, like Oliver Twist style, concept. It's been off and on. I've been off and on being able to stream, but trying to keep up with it. Well, if you're on and if I can catch you, I'll do my best to stop by and and say hi. Or for those who are, they come in, they're friends of the channel. If I can raid you at some point in time, I'll look forward to doing so. But I hope that, if you want to continue pursuing streaming, that it'll solidify for you and things will level out, Doctor. But you know what? For tonight, you're here. Thank you so much for that, and I appreciate it. And you know that on our Discord, if you ever do stream, you can share a link to your channel for that. I want to make sure that you guys have a platform too. You visit me on mine, and as guests in my house, I want you to feel comfortable and know that you can let people know about what you have going on in your own houses as well. You're very welcome, Doctor. All right, there's no real special origin for urchins, so we're going to roll her personality traits, 2 and 1, and now her ideal bond and flaw, which is going to be 2, 6, and 6. We have those placeholders in mind. Now it is time, maybe for the juiciest part of this week's character creation. I'm going to roll 2 D12s, these nice big golden D12s. The first number is going to be her primary class, and the second will be what she's multi-classed into. As an arbitrary restriction, we're going to make it so it's at least a 50-50 split. But if we decide that, for various traits or features or the like, I'm going to give preference to having the first class be higher than the second. Because, for sake of convenience, like, well, I don't want to roll a monk, but we're forced to. We're going to give her one level of monk, and everything else is going to be a sorcerer, and there we go. Let's put this consideration out there. We are smart. We improvise as a community. You out there, if you're here, you have this. So let's put this challenge before us and say, how could a character like X exist? And in this case, we're looking at a divination wizard / assassin rogue before, and this character is going to be a 3 and 7, a cleric paladin. Kind of a natural fit-ish. One casts off wisdom, one casts off of charisma. They both do serve a faith. Interestingly enough, we're going in a very interesting direction because our brother Elias, thanks to Coffee Cat for the name suggestion here, He is this gladiator storyteller, this divination wizard rogue assassin, but the way that he's developed was more like Azrael from Batman, right? He's kind of a vigilante. He wants to recreate a historical or religious figure, you know, almost kind of a Assassin's Creed-ish kind of a thing going on. So he's religious. He's deeply religious. Now, he's not receiving direct power from a god or gods. But that doesn't mean that his faith isn't swayed, or he holds you know, various tenets close. Now we're getting kind of another like superconductor of divine will, it seems. The polar opposite. Hello and welcome to you. And thank you for that follow. Yes, so polar opposite, for our workshop this week, we're putting a challenge before us where we're making multi-class characters. And we're not trying to, you know, fish for optimization. With almost all of our characters, we randomly roll them. And we use the results to create a character that has morals and values. We discuss a little bit about the history. How could someone like this exist? What are the decisions that they've made? And we challenge ourselves to improvise, to tell a tale, and to still create a character that isn't just fun to exist in a story, but is a character that you might even want to pilot at your own table sometime. Yeah, so Polar, if you would like, our random roll guide is on our Discord. You could download it and make one at home. Oh, Misfit, then sometimes we steal that said character and throw them an NPC in our games. Misfit, you and anyone else are welcome to do so. All of the characters we make go up on our Discord, and you can download their PDFs. You can watch them made on YouTube later. Any of the stuff we make, you don't have to be a subscriber. You can download that information and run them as an NPC, as a PC, whatever you'd like. Oh, thank you, Coffee. So yeah, polar opposite. You're coming in at the beginning of this new character creation. Yeah, Coffee's on point. I mean, depending if Coffee wants some claws, I might have need for another person wielding a green sword. But that could be a discussion we have on the side too, Coffee. I've made a multi-class before in one of my games. They can be fun, and especially, you know, there's some very common ones that we're talking about where, you know, I'm going to go Paladin Sorcerer or Sorcerer Warlock, that kind of a thing. But the challenge here is to randomly roll as we did, and we have 1.5 casters that are casting off of different stats. How is this going to work? How can we think that a weird class mix-up like this could exist and be functional, but also give you enough information to create a compelling character? Because D&D is storytelling. Yes, there are dice rolls. Yes, there are mechanics. There are tactics and combat. And in between all of that is role-playing, is your character. Even if it's only the vehicle for the dice rolls, that vehicle still has to exist. Made a Barbarian, polar opposite. Barbarians are fun. You took a level in Warlock on your Bard purely because it made sense story-wise for him? Then yeah, Eldritch Blast isn't a bad thing either, Misfit. Alright, so we have a female Tiefling with the Urchin background. And we just rolled that she is a Cleric, Paladin, chaotic neutral in her expression of her ideals and ideas and her morals and her thoughts. Now let's determine which archetypes are going to support her, or like her, I was going to say sub job, that is Final Fantasy XI. her subclass. For clerics, there are 7 traditional domains. There is an 8th domain of death. For our character creation here, I've reserved it for characters we've rolled that are evil. You know, does that have to be the case at home? No. Again, I've put some, just some randomization considerations into this, as the characters we build here aren't traditional builds out of the player's handbook. We use the player's handbook almost exclusively, but we approach it in a different fashion. So I'm going to roll a d8. I'll re-roll an 8 if we get it. But here are the 7 traditional domains for a cleric. And then I'm going to roll a d3, and we'll figure out which oath that this character has pledged. So first things first, we rolled an 8. So we'll re-roll a 1. So that is going to be a knowledge cleric. Okay. And for the paladin, let's roll a 3-sided die. And we rolled a 1. Devotion. There we go. A ranger lock. That was a halfling. Ooh. You played an orc with bagpipes. Oh, with a blade on. That's it. That's very interesting. An orc with bagpipes that had a blade. And hey, you know, getting Eldritch Blast on a hunter. Wait, is Hunter's Mark for weapons, or does that work for spells too? I like the concept though. And you know, as a ranger, you know, you go out, you perform for your patron, and as a warlock, you perform for your patron. Rangers are great at going out and accomplishing things. All right, so here we go. We have a knowledge domain cleric and a paladin of devotion. While we're here, we are going to get a paladin style. So while there's class, we're going to come down here, and this is going to be paladin class. And let's roll a d4 to figure out which fighting style she'll get. We rolled a 3. A great weapon. Okay. And then for archetype, and then we have paladin archetype. This is going to be cleric class and cleric archetype, which are kind of the same. I mean, it's your domain, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. I hope so anyway. If not, hey, ask questions. This is a workshop. Now that we've generated some placeholders, we're going to translate her personality and such here soon. We've cast the bones into the augury dish, and here shortly we're going to lean over and read the results. Let's stat out the dimensions in a way of our tiefling. Tieflings start at 4 feet 9 inches tall, and we're going to add 2d8 inches to her height. We're adding 12, so she is 5'9". We're going to take that 12, and we're going to multiply it by 2d4, then add that result to her base weight of 110. So we're adding 24. She's 134 pounds, 5'9". And lastly, something that I always encourage you to consider, how old is your character? And we have a method to randomly determine that. Let's roll a percentile to determine where in the life cycle she is. At a 65, she is middle-aged. Column 4. And for a tiefling, a middle-aged tiefling is between 46 and 60 years old. That's going to be a 15-sided die. Two. So she is 47 years old. Right? 46, 47. Middle-aged. 478. She has a little bit more, a couple more drops of fiendish blood in her than than perhaps her human appearance or her human favoritism has allowed. Sorry, I've been trying to fiddle with this thing. This is, I wonder if there's a way to... I'll have to put something... maybe tilt it back a wee bit. It's just odd because of the way that it sort of bends. There we go. It's a weapon attack for Hunter's Mark Misfit. I eventually got a guitar axe with my Barbarian. If it was a Hexblade, it could be pretty useful, especially with fighting style Rangers get. Misfit, I just did that so I could make spectral arrows. That ticked poison and fire damage with confusion of all other enemies. Listen, you leave Thump Thump and Grox alone. I appreciate the delivery in that roleplay fashion too, Polar Opposite. And it sounds like you're having a great time at your roleplay table. And you know, for those people who find the channel, and you know, it sounds odd when I say, you know, thank you for taking that chance, for taking that risk on clicking on the channel. It can be a big thing for people to come into a channel they've never been to. You're not sure what's going on. You know, is there some insular group that I'm not going to be included? And really, Opposite, I hope that you feel that you've pulled up a table at in a game store and you're a part of our table talk. You're a part of our conversation. And so you sharing your experiences, you sharing your stories and characters means a lot to me because I enjoy hearing that. You know, the ideas that all of you have are amazing, and you know, there are things that maybe I would never consider, but you're teaching me, even though I'm the one running a workshop, right? And that is the beauty of this platform, and especially the social nature that role-playing games has. Exactly, Misfit. We love everyone. First-timers, old-timers, and even the confused timers. Even those of us who are all of the above. Now, we do not need this any longer. Woo, put that away. Now, Polar Opposite, I'll give you an excuse today since this is your first day in class, but have your player's handbook ready, because when we get into our character creation, we start at chapter 4 with the personality and background first. And this is because I want to know our character's character. Who was she before she was a cleric and or before she was a paladin? What did she do? What was her life and lifestyle? What were her hobbies, her first job? In these formative years, what happened? And so we're going to scroll through the alphabetical list to Urchin, which is the last one on page 141. We know some basics, right? We have an idea, we have a direction, we have the sun is coming up on the horizon, and we just got to get to it. We got to chase it down. Her personality traits, we're going to get to real soon. As an Urchin, we're going to get sleight of hand. I want to get a couple mechanics out of the way. Sleight of hand and stealth. We're also going to get tool proficiencies with a disguise kit and thieves tools. We're going to get some equipment such as a small kniff, a map of the city you grew up in, a pet mouse. You know, talk to your DM. Does it have to be a mouse? It could be a snail. It could be, I don't know, a pet stone. But pet, I don't know, mouse, we'll put in brackets, because it could be, you know, something. It doesn't have to be an intelligent creature. It could just be a one intelligence mouse. It just hangs out with you because you feed it and it's friendly. Also, a token to remember your parents by. And we're going to roll that as a trinket. trinket number something. Because that could add to her, you know, what did her parents leave behind, or what did someone important leave to her before she lost everything? You know, she could be an urchin in so much that she was an adult, maybe things were going well for her. She could have even married, and then that's when tragedy struck and she became a widow. Her husband and her kids died in a fire. She lost everything. She was put out on the streets. Maybe people thought that she started it because she's a tiefling, and you know those tieflings or whatever. And so, you know, she doesn't have to have been a kid. The token could be something she recovered before the fire consumed everything, and it's something she remembers her family by. You know, so this urchin is more of a tragic figure that's had to scrape by in some dire circumstances on the streets or that kind of a thing. We're also going to get some common clothes and a belt pouch containing 10 gold. A pet snake, yeah, right? Norlai would be proud. AKA Dark Wolf. As for my barbarian, he has a pet alligator named Chomp Chomp. Oh, do you keep it on a leash or something, or do you ride it as a mount? Yeah, I'm interested in hearing that story, Polar. And the personality of Grox was he was placed in the woods as a toddler and basically had to learn to fend for himself. Is that cultural? Like, so all the babies have to learn how to do that? Or, well, the toddlers? Or was he special but not in the best way because his parents abandoned him in the woods? Our feature are city secrets. We know how to get around in an urban environment, particularly the city in which this has happened. We're a little scamp like that. That actually has a lot of implications for a campaign. I mean, doubly so for an urban campaign. But you can do a lot of stuff that is beneficial to yourself and the party as a whole. With this, and it talks about travel speed, but that could be for hiding, that could be for a lot of other ways to navigate or to make allies, you know, things like that, like the Morlocks down in the sewers kind of a thing in X-Men. He was special. His father was a survivor and his mother was a military woman who fought for the Royal Military. So it was a tough love kind of a thing from kind of hardened parents who said, you know, we want a strong child. So they placed the child in the woods to see if he'd come back. All right, now her personality traits that are left by her being an urchin. Let's scoot this over a little bit to read it a tad more easily. Number 2, I ask a lot of questions. And number 1, I hide scraps of food and trinkets away in my pockets. A bit of a hoarder. Her ideal is number 2. Community. We have to take care of each other because no one else is going to do it. And you may say, all right, dude, this is clearly labeled as a lawful ideal, and we generated her as a chaotic neutral character. How does that work? This can work very well. Your alignment is the way that you express yourself. So she's more impulsive, and she does want to take care of herself first, but that doesn't mean to the exclusion of other people or that others won't benefit from anything that she's doing. She may very well have a personality where I need to eat, but if someone gives me 2 cans of beans, I only need 1, so I'll eat a can of beans first, and then I'll give a can of beans to someone else. You know, she's impulsive. That doesn't mean that she's not looking constantly for opportunities to make things better for other people. So in this mentality, there's nothing wrong. You know, you don't have to be shoehorned into change as your ideal. You don't have to be shoehorned into people as your neutral ideal because you're chaotic neutral. You can have community, this lawful labeled ideal. And look at it this way too. let's say that she is actually just super impulsive, kind of a klepto, you know, just she wanders. That doesn't mean that she doesn't want a better day to come that offers stability. And her ideal is just that. It's a project set before her that she may not currently be living, but a goal to which she'll work. And so, when the opportunity comes to roleplay that, your DM might say, yes, you are working towards this lawful ideal, and I will give you an inspiration for having this character make this decision in a way that fits the current situation and expression, but still makes progress towards this ideal. Ta-da! Ergo, to prove his worth to his mother and father, he had to survive. Oh, okay. Sounds like he came from a good family, but had some harsh parenting tactics. And as for the bard's alligator, it's an attacking mount. Okay, got it. Those labels are more like guidelines than actual rules. Yes, Coffee. It's good to give you direction, right? I'm sure there's an artistic term for it. For any of you who are here and don't know, Coffee Cat is a great artist. By the way, you're welcome to plug your channel, wink, wink, if you'd like. And maybe what they're called, reference lines or something like that. But yeah, so you get an idea, right? It's the initial sketch, and there's more character than just what the initial sketch outlines. Some lines go out, some lines go in, but you're sticking to the general shape. You can make an outline of an apple, and your final product will have a general apple-ish shape, though you could have it drawn with a big bite taken out of it, or a worm, or it's a super polished, delicious red apple. Yes, there we go. Thank you, Coffee. Although you might have put 2 C's at the end of that, Coffee. It might not be the right address. Ancient Orin, thank you very much for the follow. I know the graphic hasn't shown up yet, but I just saw that in chat. Thank you very much, and I hope that you're enjoying yourself, Ancient. And for Polar Opposite, for taking that risk on us, I hope you've enjoyed your stay here so far, and I want to thank you for sharing your story. Misfit, yes, butts. All right, next up is her bond. Her bond is number 6. No one else should have to endure the hardships I've been through. What are they? This is an excellent prompt for you as the player character of this character, or for the DM to consider the circumstances of the events. And bonds are meant to do that. They bond you to the world in which you're adventuring. Lastly, her flaw, because we're all flawed creatures, we all have them, hers is number 6. People who can't take care of themselves get what they deserve. Ooh. Maybe this is part of her impulsive nature. Her ideal and her flaw are pulling her in 2 different directions. A part of her wants this. She wants to be taken care of, right? She wants a place to sleep. She wants to prove herself. She wants to make sure people are taken care of. But deep down inside, right? There's a spark of that self-sufficiency. There's, that could almost border on spitefulness. Or if in her current iteration, she's made it. She's not an urchin any longer. A god has chosen her to act as an implement of faith. She might say, well, I have mine. Like, I did grow up poor, or I grew up, I had a good family, and everything was lost in a fire. And here I am as an adult, begging for scraps of bread, and, I'm in soup lines, and I get government cheese and all this other stuff. And so, but now I've made it. And I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and I harbor, while I am serving this, I still have this spark of resentment inside of me, that people who can't take care of themselves get what they deserve. And this pulls her in 2 directions. This makes her a more complex character. She's not just a flat stereotype of a cleric, even one of knowledge. Misfit actually has a butt emote. There we go. Hi, Pipe. Misfit, and I will be in and out of contributing, feeling creative, so working on the story arc. Yeah, Misfit? Oh, good. Get those creative juices flowing. Strike now while everything's hot. Opposite says, and as for the bard's background, he was raised by his father, who is a traveling bard, and his mother being orcish. He was picked on and tortured by their kids until the day he found a baby alligator. The alligator started biting people. Well, he ended up leaving his dad in search of his mother's village, and he arrived at the village and noticed everything was vandalized, and now he walks around trying to find the group of men and women that killed his mother and his village, for he is Thump Thump of... And then that's where we get cut off. For he is Thump Thump. What an interesting pull for a character. To go back and forth like this. Maybe this is even an explanation about why her faith has been split. She serves a god of, a god or a pantheon or some divinity that is hoping for people to find knowledge and information. And that could be, an aspect or several aspects here. And yet she is also a vessel for this contrary idea. And somewhere in between, always in this state of flux, is this character. A deeper, richer character for it. Thump Thump of the Lost Village. Gotcha, Polar. Now that we have our background, and maybe some of you out there already can imagine this woman. We have some physical, we have her age, her height and weight. We know her general direction for her classes. Maybe you already have a concept in your mind. Let's fill it in a little bit more. But isn't this a wonderful process that, as Polar is sharing stories of his barbarian, are you getting an imagination? Like, are you picturing Thump Thump in your mind? As we're building whoever this character is going to end up being, are you getting a picture of her in your mind? That is what I love about this process and our workshops, and oh, it's amazing. All right, races. Tiefling. We can increase our intelligence by 1, and our charisma by 2. We have a speed of 30 feet, giving us 15 climb, swim, and 0 fly. We do get dark vision out to 60 feet. We do get fire resistance, so where it says IRV, I'll zoom in a little bit on this character sheet here. So where it says IRV for immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities, we are resistant to fire damage. We can speak, read, and write Common and Infernal. And then we get Infernal Legacy, which is going to give us a cantrip of Thaumaturgy. That is also going to give us some spells. So IL, this way we know the source of these magics. We're going to get Hellish Rebuke 1 time a day off of Charisma, and Darkness 1 time per day. And there we go. This is our Tiefling loadout. Now we are going to begin the multi-classing by adding in... Oh, we should determine where to split our Cleric and our Paladin. Well, let's take a look real quick. Clerics it's going to at least be 8 and 8, if not more Cleric than Paladin. So if we do go 8, ASI, Destroy Undead, and a Divine Domain feature, that's not too bad. And if we take a look then at Paladin, what is Paladin at level 8 doing? Inability score improvement, and some spells. It doesn't look like you get additional ones here. We do get a Sacred Oath feature at 7, so we could possibly split at 11 and 7. Or I'm sorry, we're looking at level 16. Whoops. So at 8 is that. So it would be 9 and 7. Let's check real quick. Clerics at 9. 9. It's a spell slot. So a little bit more spell casting could be interesting. Our we get Divine Intervention at 10th level. That could be some role playing there. So if we do a 10-6 split, what does Paladin get at level 6? An Aura of Protection. What does Devotion get at, can't be charmed while you're conscious. This is the Aura of Devotion off of the Devotion Paladin. I don't know. I think maybe going a 10-6 split may be the way forward for this. Slightly greater spells, perhaps. Going 8th level. We made a 10-6 before, also. I kind of like the Divine Intervention as part of the character and the story we're telling. But that could be to come. If we go 8 and 8. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make an 8-8 split. Now, if you want to build this character differently at home, this isn't my character, this is ours. And I'm open to suggestions as well. I'd love to play some Roll20 with you sometime, because I have a great idea for a Necrolic. I'm not sure what that is, Polar. Polar, I do run a game on Tuesdays, and it does involve members of our community. Now, that currently has a fixed roster. But you are encouraged to come and watch and even roleplay in the chat alongside of what we're doing on screen, because I try and work that into the story as well. However, there is a project I'm working on that will have a rotating cast of characters. And so, for people who want to play, every week it could be different. Oh, a Necromancer Cleric. Gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Necro Cleric, or yeah, I see what you're saying. And so that is a project to come. If you stop by here and watch the broadcast, you'll be updated. If you're on our Discord, then you'll definitely be updated, because there's a lot of information there. And for those of you, if you'd like to join our Discord, you're welcome to. We keep it safe for work, no worse than PG-13. And I ask that for your name or your nickname, it's synced up to your Twitch handle. It makes communication easier that way. All right, so we're going to go an 8-8 split. And we're going to build our first 8 levels of Cleric. And then we're going to look at what you need to multi-class and put on our 8 levels of Paladin. If you're doing this at home in a campaign, you could go 1 and 1 and go back and forth. I'm not going to worry about the minutia of building that character level by level. We want the end result in order to consider her life story up to this point. I'm glad you like it, Misfit. I try to make sure that we have this same, inspiration, the same kind of feel that we have while we broadcast live just with, you know, that offline twist that Discord can bring. Okay, 8 levels of Cleric. That means for our hit dice, we have 8 D8 hit dice, because we are a D8 class. We are going to get some proficiencies here with light and medium armor, as well as shields. Light, medium. Although I think that'll be overruled by Paladin here. But still, it'll be a good lesson in multi-classing. Light, medium, and shields. All simple weapons. Saving throws are going to be wisdom and charisma. And then we're going to get to choose 2 skills from history, insight, medicine, persuasion, and religion. Let's look at her personality. What would she be better at because of who she is? She hides scraps of food. So that's stuff like sleight of hand, perhaps. History, insight, medicine, community. No one else should have to endure the hardships I've been through. In order to help her be more compassionate, I would almost say insight would be one of the 2 skills. And we have to take care of each other because no one else is going to. Maybe medicine, because before we bring in things like magical curatives, you know, helping other people, even if you're out of magic, or just understanding, you know, the right spell to use or what is appropriate. Insight and medicine could be good for her. And you know, if you argue, well, no, she wants history because she's inquisitive, she asks a bunch of questions, or religion. Maybe she earned her clerichood by asking those questions and receiving answers. You know, so we could even say religion and insight. That could work out very well too. Ask a lot of could be investigation. That is not an option, unfortunately. Yeah. And sometimes we just ask rhetorical questions, right? You look to the sky and you say, why? By the gods, why did this happen? Why did I lose my husband and children and pets and everything I have in that fire? You know, why is it that I was left alive? Well, you're heat resistant as a tiefling, but that aside, you know, we ask these questions of ourselves or through a religion or a philosophy because we seek understanding. Because fire is bad? Well, that's a very direct reason. Fire is a very harsh thing. You start with the following equipment in addition to the equipment granted by your background. A mace or a warhammer. I don't think we're going to be proficient with that, so I guess we'll start with a mace. Scale mail, leather armor, or chainmail if proficient. I don't think we will. Now, with her being kind of sneaky, maybe going leather armor wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea. I mean, scale mail is there. You do get disadvantage, if I'm recalling correctly. There are medium armors that do not impose disadvantage. Let me double check real quick. Scale mail is disadvantage. So you could talk to your DM and say, well, could I take a chain shirt instead? Because they're both 50 gold pieces, and one offers 1 less AC, but it's not disadvantage on stealth. And your DM might say, yeah, that's fine. You know, that's a guideline. Let's go from there. Now, if you ask for a breastplate, which is no disadvantage, but it's, you know, it costs 8 times as much, your DM might say, get some adventuring under your belt first, and then we'll talk. So with that, yeah, let's give her a chain shirt. Which is going to start at a 13 plus dex, but will not get disadvantage if we do want to sneak around. which I think is something that she's, you know, she's not compulsed by it from her personality traits, but it is a part of her survival mechanism. It's a part of who she is. Okay, let's go back to Cleric. A light crossbow and 20 bolts or any simple weapon. I guess we could go light crossbow. Now, I mean, if you feel something, it says any simple, it could be a sling. And in fact, we might even go with that, right? You don't have to always deal maximum damage if you think something's appropriate. Let's give her a sling. A light crossbow or any simple weapon. You know what? Slings are easy to hide. You can take them anywhere. You can use them in all manner of situations. And so as she travels, maybe it's utilitarian. So she has a mace and a sling, a bonkin stick, and that. Maybe those are things she recovered from the house fire or whatever. And we'll go from there. A priest's pack or an explorer's pack. Given her nature, I think that a priest's pack would be very appropriate for conducting rituals and communing and all this other stuff. And then finally, a shield or a holy symbol. So now we're at 15 plus dex if she has her shield equipped. And lastly, a holy symbol. And you know what? The holy symbol, kind of similar to Brother Elias that we made here, our divination wizard rogue assassin. His spell focus was his trinket that was given to him by a follower. What if the holy symbol is something that she recovered, you know, from her husband or her family during the fire? And actually in that case, let's go and roll a percentile on the trinket chart and find out what that could possibly be. We rolled a 68. And trinket number 68 is a 1-inch cube, each side painted a different color. What if that was a block that she was using to teach her child colors and letters? And she found that, and that's something that, you know, so unfortunately her husband and her children died in that fire, and yet that cube, that colorful cube, remained. And it was a tool of inspiration and teaching. And she found it, she saw those colors, and she knew that something was special. She picked it up, and she herself learned about a greater world that existed, greater causes and greater thoughts. And she turned her sorrow and her rage into this outlet for her religion and her faith and her service through it. And so, in memory of her lost child who played with blocks like this, and yet this was the only one that was never burnt. Why is that? That is her holy symbol, and that is her symbol of learning, and that is her presentation of her faith and her oath. This oath of devotion to her family and to others so that they would never have to fall on hard times like this again. Hi, iDragon. Good to see you. An old charred piece of jewelry may be a good idea for a spell focus, so really thematic as well. Yep, an alphabet block, Coffee. And so it's like an alphabet block. Maybe it's an infernal even. It's an infernal alphabet block that her kid had before the fire and all the tragedy that followed. And she carries it with her as a reminder. Don't you love this character creation process? Ah! Oh my gosh, we are building amazing characters. And we wouldn't have known it. How many, I don't know, how many of you would ever double up a cleric and a paladin? You're like, yeah, that's redundant. And I get that. Mechanically, it may seem so. But look at this character. Oh gosh, I get shivers. All right, spellcasting we're gonna get to. It's gonna be a little different because we're multi-classing, so just, you know, bear with it here. Channel Divinity. So for a cleric, we're going to get Channel Divinity. And we're going to get 2. One is going to be turn undead, and the other is going to be based off of our knowledge domain. Actually, I think that means we're going to get a third one, actually, because of the nature of that domain. At 5th level, we are going to get... so it's not just turn undead. This is destroy undead. And because we're going to be 8th level, this is going to be CR1. Less than or equal to CR1. Now, because we didn't take the 10-6 split, we don't have Divine Intervention yet. But I'll tell you, as this character levels up, if she takes those two other levels, and then she caps off her Paladin, so she has a 10-10, Divine Intervention would make for an awesome sort of last ability to unlock, wouldn't it? All right, now, the Knowledge Domain is the one that we rolled for her. She's going to get some spells, and we'll fill that in a second. She's going to get Blessings of Knowledge. At 1st level, you learn 2 languages of your choice. Who was she married to? Who did she have kids with? Was it an elf? Does she know Elven? When she was granted her Divine Spark, did she learn Celestial? Did she not just learn Infernal, but Abyssal? So she can talk to her cousins? This is all a part of her story. Did a dwarven family bring her in and give her shelter in the aftermath of everything that happened? What if we even say she prefers dwarves? Not only because that happened, but dwarven architecture doesn't burn, for the most part. She could be a tiefling that has an aversion to fire. Nothing we randomly rolled enforces that. But you know what? That makes sense up here, doesn't it? And it adds to that dual nature that her ideal and her flaw are pulling her between. Here we have a creature who can reflexively cast a fire spell and is resistant to it, but is afraid of fire. Through roleplay reasons. We have an extremely three-dimensional character, and I love it. Tuscan, I appreciate that you're creating a character that is a character and not a character that has the coolest skills and traits. Tuscan, that is who we are and what we focus on. We could always talk min-max, we can talk preferred builds, but I want us to realize, using just the player's handbook, or if we have to dip into the Dungeon Master Guide, using the core books, you can have, it may not be a mechanically optimal maximum DPR, maximum spell slot character, but, gosh darn it, dag nabbit, consarn it, pardon my 18th century prospector language, or I guess it'd be 19th century prospector language. We're not building math, we're not building calculators, we're not building math creatures. We're building people who live and breathe and make decisions and have morals and values. Oh, coffee, you're taking off? Oh, yeah. Oh, you say I'm so good at this? Well, thank you. I'm glad that you're inspired. You're going to head off to sleep. Sleep well, Coffee Cat, full of queso and good thoughts. What is a sword mage and how do you create one? Is that an ES? Is that a capitalized at ES Draven? Or is that, or is it more of a flowing, ES driven? A sword mage is a subclass that I believe is in the Sword Coast's Adventuring Guide, SCAG, SCAG. And it's a blend. I guess it's kind of like an arcane paladin. You could look at it. Oh man, being adopted by a dwarven family could be really good. Yeah, snore, maximize characters, give me interesting personalities to play, and make it work in combat through strategy and smarts. So I will have to check my books and see. I think it's in there, or if someone if Misfit or someone else has your. Oh yeah, there is Eldritch Knight too. If one of you out there has your book and can take a look to give that particular information to ES Draven, then I'd appreciate that. Sorry, I can't answer that off the top of my head or give you the particular the page on there. But in concept, it is kind of like an arcane paladin. You focus on, you know, some combat tactics. You're using your smarts in combat, and you're casting spells with and through your weapon of choice. Okay, now we continue. Channel Divinity. Yes, we do get... we're actually going to get 2 other ones. At level 2, we're... oh, actually, hang on. Ooh, sorry. I didn't get Blessings of Knowledge in there yet. You learn 2 languages of your choice. Got it in there. You also become proficient in your choice of 2 of the following skills: Arcana, History, Nature, or Religion. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check made that uses those skills. Alright, so... Well, we have Religion. What else? Arcana, History, Nature, Religion. What would her personality have her take? I ask a lot of questions. I hide scraps of food and trinkets. So you know what? If she's used to, like, if she's digging through, she wants to try and find the silver lining in tragedy. She's used to ruffling through things like that. We have to take care of each other. No one should have to endure the hardships I've been through. People who can't take care of themselves get what they deserve. So that's a part of her dual nature here, that is pulling at her heartstrings and her mind. That is kind of, I want to say, history and nature. Nature, especially because of the fire, the way that, you know, fire is made and can move and act. That might have been something that's a little bit of an obsession of hers. And so we're going to click the little expertise. It's not expertise, but it is expertise on nature. And we're going to give her history. But I think we're going to make her specialized in religion. Now, she received religion from Cleric, but from Blessings of Knowledge, as long as you're already proficient in it, and you can kind of double it up. And so we're going to put that expertise, or that quasi-expertise button there. See, on this character sheet, if you roll in, you see the little orb. That's no moon. Alright, now we can... Knowledge of the Ages is one of our channel divinities. As an action, you can choose 1 skill or tool. For 10 minutes, you have proficiency with a chosen skill or tool. And how that could manifest in a character like this, if she comes, maybe she comes into contact with something, and she feels the spirit or the knowledge of this person. You know, going through such a dire tragedy, she look at her personality. She always questions. I ask a lot of questions. Why? Why, gods, did this happen? Why did I lose this? Why did this happen? And she sought answers that put her on the path. And she found not answers, but she found a medium to obtain them. And so as she has this empathy, she's this medium for devotion, for guidance. Maybe her channel divinity is speaking to a ghost, almost like a seance. Or it's not a mechanic of knowledge of the ages. You know, this just says you tap into a divine well of knowledge. But what if it is, I'm empowering you to find it out yourself? And so if she wants to know how to wield this hammer, she can have a bit of a seance. She touches the hammer, the mechanics of channel divinity go off, but we've put this lore building cosmetic effect. Knowledge of the use of the hammer floods her, and she's filled with this knowledge and this spirit of maybe the old man who was this woodworker who died, and his ghost whispers in her ear how you can use his tools to fix a toy for a child. You know, she's middle-aged. She might be past childbearing years, or she might not want to because of the trauma she's received. Maybe she has a soft spot. How can we add flair and fluff while sticking to the mechanics, the crunch of things? All right, next up, we have Channel Divinity Read Thoughts. Again, you can read a creature's thoughts. You can then use your access to the creature's mind to command it. As an action, choose a creature. So here we go. This is she is now the spiritual medium. She can even enforce her own self into people to learn, to control, to save someone even. Oh, it's a lowercase L, so it's not an uppercase I. Yeah, unfortunately, their uppercase I's and their lowercase L's are the same. So thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, so it's Les Draven. Got it. And if I mess that up, you are welcome to correct me. I do try and pronounce your names often so that as you do continue to come back, you know, who knows, a couple weeks from now, yeah, exactly. right, Les. If the short is fine, otherwise Les Draven. But as you come in and I say your name, I say it over and over, just like I do at my physical store. There are hundreds, thousands of people even in the community that I've gotten to know over all my years in doing that. And by addressing them, by trying to use their name and invoking that is a good memory technique. There are Blade Singers in Skag, which was an Elven Arcane tradition for wizards, which makes them... Okay. Then maybe I'm thinking of the 4th edition version, Misfit. Was I doing that? If you know. And Les Draven, thank you very much for the follow. I'm happy to have earned your attention, your follow, and your time. Welcome aboard. Next up, we have at level 8, Potent Spellcasting. At 8th level, you add your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any Cleric cantrip. Well, we don't get cantrips from Paladin, so it'll be its own thing. But let's say that we took Wizard, right? We do get cantrips there. It's only going to be for our Paladin or our Cleric ones. Potent Spellcasting. We are going to get some domain spells. Our knowledge domain spells, which are always learned and do not count against our... they do not count against our number of cleric spells known. We are going to get Command and Identify. We are going to get Augury and Suggestion. We are going to get Non-Detection and Speak with Dead. I don't know, what do you all think? Would she ever try and speak? Would she ever speak with the remains of her husband or child? Arcane Eye and Confusion. And lastly, Legend Lore and Scrying. Ooh, you know what? We might not get... Alright, I put them all here. We might have to take some... Well, no. Our domain spells are our domain spells, but our spell slots are going to be determined by our multi-class. So we might not be able to cast those spells, depending on the potency of our spell slots that we'll get. Okay, you skip 4th, gotcha. I just started to work new location, learning 100 new names and faces. Well, if you continually say, like, oh, hey, John, it's good to meet you. And then, you know, hey, Susan, or whatever. You do come across as friendly, but you're reinforcing people's names. So what's this about? We're doing a workshop, Les, and that's primarily what we do. We play D&D, we practice what we preach on Tuesdays. Wednesday through Saturday, we work on characters, we make adventures, we draw maps, and all of it is created through mostly random inspiration. through some dice rolls and by following the core rulebooks. In fact, if you want to see the things that we've done, you are welcome to join us on our Discord, because at the end of the week, I compile all of the PDFs, the maps, the documents, anything that we've made on stream. And I post them along with YouTube uploads of that particular project. So you can watch it, or you could just download for free. You don't have to be a subscriber. You can download the content in case you found some inspiration. Maybe you want to play this character, and you want to use the character as an NPC, as a BBEG, or you want to use it as a case study or something. We are here to create and to tell a story. Tuscan, I would say that she often speaks with her deceased, especially if the block could be a link to the child. Then, and this is something interesting then, Tuscan, as the dead wouldn't be able to reveal anything new. You know, would she visit the grave? Maybe it's a special grave that lets her come in contact with the skulls of her husband and child. Why would she go and maybe have this as a part of a pilgrimage? And I'm not saying this because it's a bad idea. I want to throw the idea back and challenge it. What would she glean? If maybe only self-satisfaction, and that's fine. What would she glean by talking to the dead who have no more tales to tell, other than perhaps what she's already learned through her communion? Would it be sort of just a lingering, obsessive reminder of who they were? Maybe, you know, a sad part of her that she can't let go. You know, once a year on the birthday of her child, she needs to go and visit the grave and speak with the dead, kind of a thing. It may not be able to tell her anything new, but she takes comfort in that. A reminder of what she's focused on, her mission. Okay. Spreading fire safety awareness. I say that tongue-in-cheek. I know we're making more of a serious, tragic character. But sometimes if you can't laugh, you'll cry. So, that's my attitude. As an 8th level cleric, we're going to get 4 cantrips. 1, 2, 3... Oh, by the way, the cleric cantrip does stand out. I forgot. We get thaumaturgy. Not that that deals damage, but... You know, and if we did get wizard, then we'd go like C1, C2, and then we'd put wizard, you know, W1, W2, or the like. Well, we're building 8 levels of cleric, and then we're going to multi-class her into 8 more levels of paladin, so we have a 16th level character. Dragon says, could just so she doesn't forget her past? Yeah. Okay, that's a perfectly good reason. Remembering the good time she had with her family as well. Oh yeah, so she could, you know, she holds the skull of her deceased, you know, her husband, and you know, tell me again about the day on the hill with the breeze flowing through the willows, and the flowers. And she might already know the answer, and this uses up one of her questions for the dead. What were my favorite flowers? And the skull having this ability would answer the question. And she already knew the answer, but hearing it from beyond the grave, what her favorite flowers were, and that her husband, now since dead for 20 years, still remembers her favorite flowers from the hill that they would picnic at. Maybe that's the memory when she broke the news that she was pregnant with their son. And the wind was blowing through the willows, and the scent of the flowers, and her hat blew off. You know, the husband always joked that because she has the horns, right? We said that she favors her human side a little bit more, so maybe she's more human in appearance, and so she has like little horns. You know, he said, oh, you know what? You should always just put little holes in there so your hat would stay on better. And she's like, oh, I don't need to do that. And then on this day, on this picnic where she was going to deliver this, the wind picked up, blowing through the willow trees, and the hat blew off, and the husband chased it into the field of flowers, and you know, came back and said, you know, pick a hand, And she's like, "Oh, come on, just give me my hat back." He's like, "No, come on, pick." And she goes, "All right, left." And he brings out a crown of flowers that he made while he was chasing her hat. Right, grabbed a bunch of like long stem flowers, wove them together, and set this little crown of flowers on her head. And he had the hat, and he showed her. But that's when he said, "You're beautiful," and she said, "And you are too. I love you so much. In fact, I wanted to tell you that, we're gonna be parents." And that was like the best day. The husband, there. Kind of like Andy Dufresne in the Shawshank Redemption, like, there with his wife, they made love under the oak tree by that stone wall in Biloxi? Oh, I forget the name of the city, but you get what I'm saying. And so she revisits those memories that are held by the dead, in order to, to feel things, in order to keep her centered. That's a very good idea. Remembering the good times. My character used to be a criminal, but turned to God and became a cleric who cast a light cantrip on everything. Oh, cool. Biloxi isn't pronounced like that. Did I say like Buloxy? Was I correct though with my movie reference in Shawshank? Alright, so we're going to get our cantrips. Now, our spell slots are going to be different because we are multi-classed, so I don't want to fill those in just yet. Every turn you've been casting light. Oh, hey, Pouty. Trying to go to TwitchCon? Yes, I am. Pouty, I have, thanks to people's generosity, not just from adopting miniatures out of the sealed boxes here, but folks have been throwing some spare bits and going, going a little bit extra. And I've been building a side pool so that I can go to TwitchCon and I can be a better streamer. I can network. I can learn to host an even better community. So if you think we're good now, I hope to be able to bring back a ton of knowledge. I think so. You used to live 30 minutes. And, well, I live just a little bit north of Shawshank, which is the old Mansfield Reformatory here in Ohio. So every time I drive past it, like if I'm going to go to Columbus or something, I look over, I'm like, yep, that's where Andy met Red in old Shawshank. All right, so we're going to worry about our spell slots in just a little bit after we multi-class. And also my headphones need to be plugged in. Pardon me. Really, for our archetype here, we have already included what we were getting so far, so there's not really extra points to the Paladin archetype. Alright, now we've set her up to be an 8th level cleric. Let's go to chapter 6. I mean, if you play at home, get your player's handbooks out. Go to chapter 6, and we realize that if we want to go from being a cleric to a paladin, we're going to have to meet 3 base requirements. Our wisdom, our strength, and our charisma are going to have to be at least level 13 when we make that crossover. And, however we want to make the note, if you want to go like 13 here, and then, actually, so that'd be more of a control X. Wisdom, charisma, strength. That way we know how to use our standard array. And oh, by the way, Diadems, thank you for gifting that to Pouty Lips. Pouty, enjoy your emote. There's going to be another emote coming up soon that you can use, but welcome aboard. So we're going to need to make sure that that by level 8, by the way, because let's say we go maximum cleric, and then we just take maximum paladin to our self-imposed 16 cap. We're going to need to make sure that our stats are there before we can even take our first level of Paladin. Hit points and hit dice. Well, over here we have 8d8 for our Cleric levels, and when we get to Paladin, you'll see where we do that. Being a Paladin here, we are going to receive light armor, medium armor, shield, simple weapons, and martial weapons. So the only thing we're really going to get is some weapon training with simple and martial weapons, because we have everything else from Cleric. It's a bit redundant, but it's there. Now, besides spell slots, we do have 2 classes that have Channel Divinity. All right. If you already have the Channel Divinity feature and gain a level in a class that also grants the feature, you gain the Channel Divinity effects granted by that class, but getting the feature again doesn't give you additional use of it. You gain additional uses only when you reach a class level that explicitly grants them to you. For example, if you're a Cleric 6, Paladin 4, you can use Channel Divinity twice between rests because you're a high enough level to use the Cleric class to have more uses. Whenever you use the feature, you can choose any of the Channel Divinity effects available to you from your 2 classes. Pardon. And now for the slots that we have available. It can seem confusing. It's not that bad. If you have more than 1 spellcasting class, this table might give you spell slots of a level that is higher than the spells you know or can prepare. You can use those slots, but only to cast your lower level spells. If a lower level spell that you cast, like Burning Hands, has an enhanced effect, when cast at a higher level slot, you can use the enhanced effect even if you don't have any spell slots of the higher level. So let's see. We have, you determine your spell slots by adding your levels. So Cleric, we're going to get all 8 of ours. And then we're going to look at half. Paladins are a half caster. So we're going to get 4 levels of spell casting from Paladin. This is going to make us a level 12 caster. And so our spell slots are going to be 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, and 1/6 level spell. I hope that makes sense. It can seem daunting to multi-class, but don't let it mix you up. And for spells known and prepared, when we get to here, we are going to have Cleric spells prepared. And then we're going to have Paladin spells prepared, which is going to be beyond our domain and our oath. So our spell casting is going to be Wisdom off of Cleric and Charisma off of Paladin. And of course, then we'll have 2 different spell casts, and we'll fill that in when we get to Paladin here. All right. I'm down here anyway. We had 4 Cleric cantrips. C1, C2, C3, and C4. Now that we know the replacement feature, which for us is just going to be martial weapon training, let's go back and add in our Paladin, our Paladin features. We are a D10 hit die class, so we have 8 D10 hit die from Paladin, and so we can mix. If we want to spend them to heal, we choose whichever ones we want. We are not getting... The proficiencies have already been given to us. This is replaced by what's in Chapter 6. And you also do not get the equipment. Now, what we will get are things like Divine Sense. We are also going to get Lay on Hands, which is going to be equal to 5 times our Paladin level. So we'll have 40 hit points or points worth of effects, like remove poison or disease, that we can use. We are going to gain a fighting style. Now, I randomly rolled, and we got a great weapon fighting. When you roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack you make with a melee weapon that you're wielding with 2 hands, You can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. The weapon must have the two-handed or versatile property for you to gain this benefit. So with... we might have to end up redoing this. It was a random roll, and I like to try and stick to that if at all possible. But we're seeing... she starts with only simple weapons. So I guess that could be a great club. So we could work into that. She does have shield proficiency. Not that she always has to use a shield. There's nothing saying that she has to. Just because you have it doesn't mean you have to max everything out. But I don't believe that there are any versatile simple weapons. And if she's going to wield something in two hands, that would really just leave the great club. But, oh no, you know what? Great weapon fighting she gets as a paladin. Derp, not as a cleric. I'm thinking of her like her start. So if she takes that and she gets the martial training, then she'll get access to something that's two-handed. So I suppose what would be appropriate? Maybe a warhammer. We're talking about hammers earlier. If we're talking about her digging through ruins, or like a maul, so she might carry like a mace or a warhammer and a shield, or she might go to maul, and so like knocking down, she knocks down buildings. That's what helps her search. It's a way for her to symbolically knock down people's ignorance and their conceptions, and to knock down the walls we build around our hearts. Maybe that manifests in that fashion. So if we do that, then, we could give her something like a maul, and she'll go great weapon fighting. That could be very interesting. Maul, I mean, we're not necessarily going to stat in all the weapons here. It's in Chapter 5, but I want to get the concept of the character across. Now you can't be pouting anymore. Oh, well, carrying a maul isn't necessarily, going to impose anything. Using it, though, I mean, when she wants to get people's attention, it's there. She's not necessarily, like, super sneaky to be stealthy for the sake of stealthing. It's something that she learned when she was living on the streets. As she was trying to, sneak through. Maybe she's trying to investigate the cause of the fire, or she had to be very quiet. That people took her in, but they told her, look, we're taking care of you, but you have to be quiet. There's too many of us living here already. It could just be an extension of her lifestyle. But, this is a character that we're building together, and if you want to put another weapon in her hand, do so. Maybe it's a greatsword. Maybe it's a spear. Great weapon fighting. It has to be two-handed or versatile. She could be a polearm fighter or something. I guess with that, she could have gone great weapon. If we were sticking to simple, could be a quarterstaff. So there's that. Because quarterstaff is simple, and it is versatile. Could be two hands or one. Anyway, we rolled it, we have it, and it's adding to her character. Why would someone like this exist, even if it doesn't seem optimal or obvious? Alright, so there's our fighting style. Congratulations on that. Divine Smite. We can channel our spell slots to deal more damage. And we are also going to get Divine Health. Apparently she has been blessed. Not just with this fire resistance, but with the inability to get sick. We'll get to our Sacred Oath in just a little bit. At 5th level, she is going to be getting an extra attack. At 6th level, she'll be getting an Aura of Protection. Friendly creatures, you must make a saving throw, get a bonus of saving throw. This is maybe her matronly knowledge. Look out, don't eat that or whatever. And so she's reliving her motherly days, and that's in her aura. She's just projecting it. And then lastly, at level, we didn't go 10 levels, we went 8. So her capstone, if we go 10 and 10, will be Aura of Courage. And I think that would be very appropriate. Not only divine intervention, but an aura of courage. By level 20, this will be a very interesting, complex character that has perhaps found resolution. Diadems, thank you very much for gifting a sub to Tuscan. Tuscan, welcome aboard. Enjoy your emote. You're going to see a couple others in the coming weeks. And don't forget that for as many of you that subscribe, yourself or are gifted, on Wednesday the 20th, the third Wednesday of every month, we have a raffle to give away full boxes of minis to people who are present on the channel. And I will ship it to a domestic U.S. address if you win. So there we go. There's our extra attack, and then our protection is going to be our Paladin capstone. Now, Oath of Devotion, we are going to get some devotion spells here, which we're going to add to our domains. So, devotion. And we're not high enough yet to get Beacon of Hope or Dispel Magic at 9th level. Next level we will, but not this one. So we're going to get protection from evil and good. And Sanctuary. All of this is, I think this character is definitely a product of what has happened. It has shaped her, and she's a shining exemplar of this. Lesser Restoration and Zone of Truth. There we go. And our slots were 5, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1. Or 4, I'm sorry. 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, and 1. So we don't have any 6th level spells, but we can upcast. We will also get our Channel Divinity. When you take this to the 3rd level, you gain the following 2 Channel Divinity options. But we're still only going to get 1 Channel Divinity. So, with Cleric, how many times can we channel? Channel Divinity once, so we're at 2, and then 2 times per rest by level 6. So we can do Channel Divinity 3 times per day. Oh, Diadems, thank you for continuing Civil Hermit's subscription. And hey, Crossev, good to see you. Our Paladin archetype is going to give us Channel Divinity, and this is, we could do it a mix of Paladin or Cleric, so 3 times a day. There's our Paladin. We're gonna get Sacred Weapon and Turn the Unholy. And we will get from our archetype, our Oath, an Aura of Devotion as well. Can't be charmed while you're conscious, because we're charming ourselves. We keep people focused. There we go. So we have our traits. We have things that are set up and ready to go. All we need to do now is add in the stats, right? So we have our standard array of 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. We need to make sure that after 2 ASIs, ability score improvements or stat bumps, that we're going to have 13s in these. Now, part of this is probably going to be easy here, as she is going to go. If we give her the 15 in wisdom, 14, 13. 12, 10, and 8. Now, bear in mind that it's fine to have proficiency in skills that are a low or a dump stat for you. What that means is that you don't have broad knowledge of everything in that realm. You have specific knowledge, specified knowledge of a particular field. If we do this, her intelligence goes to 9 and her charisma goes to 15. From our base stats, we've already met our prerequisites. Hey, Diadems, and thank you for gifting that to Vazel. From here, what do we want to increase? Well, we could we have level 4 and 8 of Cleric, level 4 and 8 of Paladin. We have 8 points that we can put into our stats. So let's bring Wisdom and Charisma up. So now we have 6 points. As she is going to be wielding... Well, I don't know. What is she going to be wielding here? She may not necessarily be particularly... She has Smite, probably a Strength. So if we bring that up to 16... We're down to 4. She's a strong woman. There we go. And in fact, because she's super specialized and this is more of a divine gift, I'm even more comfortable with Int being her dump stat. -1 to strength from a bard for being a Goliath was proficient in athletics. So what that reflects is it might mean that you work smarter, not harder. You know, you're finding leverage or the like, or you may not be overall strong, but there's particular feats of strength that you're better at doing because you know leverage points or center of gravity, that kind of a thing. And also, I see Grimvex. Thank you for the follow, and welcome aboard. And Tuscan, thank you for the follow too. Now with this, we can fill in our our skills. As a 16th level character, remember multi-classing doesn't affect the proficiency bonus. That rides with your character level. We have a +5. So for sleight of hand, we're at a 6, and stealth we're at a 6. Con is a 0. Int is a -1. With the exception of history, which is a 4, but nature and religion are going to be 9 because she's an expert in those. And don't forget that any of her skills also, she can get temporary proficiency in with a channel divinity. That makes her very potent. 9 for her saving throw and insight. Everything else in wisdom is going to be a 4. And for charisma, it's going to be an 8 save and then 3 to everything else. Her passive perception is going to be a 14. That's 10 plus your perception modifier. That's her natural awareness. Initiative is going to be at a +1 because that's a dex check. In that case, her armor class, as we calculated, is going to be 15 plus dex, so a 16 with a shield. And with the armor we presume that she's wearing. Now that she's no longer a pile of stats, if you all have suggestions for her name, her real name, what she goes by, if she is out doing good works or something along those lines, as this character, has she spoken to you? What kind of a character would this be? You can throw out some suggestions. Now for hit points, remember her first level was in Cleric, so you get your full hit points, all 8 of them, from your D8 hit die. However, for our 7 remaining levels of our 8, it's half +1, which is going to be 5 hit points. Then for all 8, because you do not double dip, your first level in Paladin does not give you 10. That's only character level it's based off of. So for our 8 levels of Paladin, it's going to be half +1 of a D10, and so that's going to be 6. And then for all of our levels, all 16 of them, bonus hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. So she's not, her gifts are keeping her hale and healthy, but she doesn't have a high Constitution herself. So this is discounted. Then we come over to 42 plus 35. So we have 50 plus 35 is 85 hit points at level 16. Now for our spells, if we attack with Cleric, that's off of Wisdom, so that's a +9, and if we attack with Paladin, that's a +8. +9/+8, and therefore our saves, because you add 8, it's a static number, is going to be 17/16. +9/+8. Lay on Hands. As a reminder, on our spell page, we have 40 points. And now to prepare spells. You prepare a number of spells from the Cleric list equal to your Cleric level, which is 8, plus your Wisdom modifier. So on top of everything you see here, we can prepare 12 Cleric spells from the generic Cleric list, always having our Knowledge Domain spells. Paladins are the same, but with Charisma and half of their level, because they are half casters. So it's going to be Charisma, which is 3, plus 4, which is our Paladin level. So every day when we wake up, we say our prayers, we take our vitamins, Hulk Hogan would be happy. On top of our Domain and our Oath spells, we can prepare 12 Cleric spells in any of the slots for which we have or any of the levels for which we have a spell slot, and Paladin spells similarly. And this is a mutable spell list. This could be very potent, by the way. Interesting mix. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have built a very nuanced character, a character with depth and tragedy. But someone who is trying, but we're not building her, and I say this with due affection. We're not building like a stereotypical "woe is me" or like everyone around me died and I'm gonna make everyone die because I smolder with generic rage. We don't have a character like that. We have a character who does feel sadness, but also happiness. We have a character who wants to help other people desperately. But she realizes that they have to help themselves because that's the way to enlightenment. And so she's holding these various viewpoints as she is this contradiction. She's a tiefling who doesn't like fire. She wants to help people, but she realizes that people who can't help themselves don't deserve it. This is a very broad condensation. We have someone who is, she draws on the powers of her god to guide her, and yet this devotion to her family, this oath to her family, if we want to tie that, so it's not even to a god or a pantheon, the powers of devotion could be to her family. And so she serves a distant pantheon or a god or goddess within it. But she also serves herself and her family. She looks forward to the horizon, but here she is, in the day-to-day. She remembers what it's like begging for food. She remembers what it's like to be happy, you know, with a kid and you know, teaching them to read and then losing it and then coming and gaining so much more after that. Does it replace it? Can it ever? She constantly questions life, despite her continually finding answers to it. Is her knowledge domain a blessing or a curse? And so here she is, 47 years old, middle-aged, you know, she's over the hill. She might have, you know, she might have another 40 if she's really lucky. But what's she gonna do? What if she can't have kids anymore? Is her life of service, despite desperately wanting to go back and to have kids and to have a family? But could she ever settle down? Could someone who's received these gifts and this knowledge ever go back to that day on the hill with the wind blowing through the willows and the flower crown? Could she ever do that? I don't think so. No matter how much she wants to. You want to call her Sweet Caroline, says Tuscan. Misfit says Avandra the Noblehearted. Pneumonica, hello. Hi everyone, getting a lot of inspiration from my next character from listening in. I'm glad. That is exactly why we hold these workshops, Grim. And if you want even more, you are welcome to join us on our Discord and go to our segment there where you can... Here, I'll show you. All right. You see here where it says stream content. This is the stuff that we've done. The map that we made last week off of the characters we randomly generated, you can download it. You can download our entire adventure, our level 6 through 17 adventure summary here. So you can add some flesh to it and you can run it yourself. Do you like Dun Boot Fasthand? Here's his PDF and you can download him for an NPC as a character just to study and get some inspiration. It's all here and you don't have to be a subscriber. I do this so you all are inspired and you can create this attachment. Blargle, heyo, I've been listening to your walkthrough videos of strongholds and followers on your commute to work. Really helpful. I'm very glad, Blargle. I had a lot of fun doing it. There's a lot of good things to consider, and I can tell that despite there's a lot of things that could be micromanaged in that set, yet the approach was let's still try to keep things simple. And Blargle, that means a lot to me that you went out of your way to watch it, that it's providing you entertainment, and you found us here and you had the gumption to say something in our chat room for that. That means a lot to me. It really, really does. You're working on your Artificer NPC right now for a quest-giving NPC that won't sell ammo or grenades until it's complete. That makes sense, Misfit. We'll have a look. You need your morning coffee. Well, good morning to you then. So, Grim, I presume you're across the Atlantic from us here. And so here we are. We had those couple names. So we have Sweet Caroline and Avandra the Noblehearted. And so maybe that was her title when she stepped up in that capacity. So what if her husband called her that? And so if we have... so maybe she is Carolandra? Right? Because as you all offer names... I try and incorporate aspects or as much as I can into the character. So we have Carolandra. The Sweet / Noblehearted. Ivaline. So now we're taking Caroline and Avandra, and we're kind of swapping out parts. And so to some people, she's known as Carolandra the Sweet. That's probably just for her husband, honestly, when she communes with dead with him. but many people know her as Noblehearted Ivaline. That kind of a thing. It plays into the story. It's organic growth in a character. And here we go, everyone. Well, welcome. You are definitely not the only one, Grim. It's always a pleasure to meet European friends, or depending on how extra far. We have a lot of Australian friends due to our interesting broadcast hours. But especially for those of you who are waking up at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, and you're listening to some odd dude on Twitch talk about D&D just at a really early hour, I appreciate you going out of your way to look, and that this is worth your time in the morning. It gets you thinking, it gets you inspired, it unlocks the creativity that you have in there, in your knowledge, in your noggin. As human beings, I want to make sure I stress this as often as possible, our intrinsic gift as a species, that as far as we know, we are the only species to have this gift. You could say opposable thumbs, we could make that argument. Is the ability to tell a story. That is our gift. Evolution, divine creation, whatever you subscribe to, the result is the same. And it is undeniable, because we see it every day and we live it every day. And if I can help you realize that you have been born a storyteller, I will feel excellent about myself. I will know that I did something cool today. All of these, none of these are ideas that you couldn't have come up with yourself, but maybe with a little bit of process, a little bit of exploration and conversation, it bubbles up. It comes up. And you say, yeah, that makes total sense. And if you say that makes total sense, this is your character over here. You have just effectively made the character. Sure, I put some numbers into a form fillable PDF. This is your character you realized in your head. You are entertaining what she looks like, how she sounds, the way she carries herself. As we're describing this character, have you imagined the tears that roll down her face when she cries at night thinking about her lost family? Or when she beseeches her god for power? The questions she asks? Did you ever imagine in those tiefling eyes of hers the look of fear and dread as fire flickers in them because of her fear of fire in a tiefling? Can you see her kneeling at the grave by the grave on the hill by the willow, as she once more digs up her husband's skull to commune with it through Speak with Dead? Maybe she even wears that a flower crown. She does it every summer on the day that she was going to break the news that she was pregnant with their son. Or the mother's wrath that forms on her face as she holds that learning block that belonged to her son, that she was teaching him how to read and in colors. And yet that thing survived the house fire. She holds it out and she banishes the undead or fiends from creation. Or as she channels her holy energy as this cleric or paladin, this mama bear, this wrath on her face. Did you imagine any of that just now? This is your character then. You have made this character. She is yours. Les Draven, it's 1 a.m., but I enjoy this a lot. Well, Les, I'm glad that you like it. I hope I'm not keeping you up too late. Hey, in all fairness, it's 3 a.m. for me here. Misfit subscribes to Dragon Magazine. Oh, those were the days. Yeah, it's 8 a.m. here now. Recently got back into 5e, so I'm rusty on RP aspects and getting a new look at new and not go for power builds. Grim, take a look at our Discord, please. And in fact, you'll notice that not only is there new content for 2019, if you scroll down the channels, go to the past 2018 content. You're going to find something there, I promise you. And if you don't, we have an entire mentoring section on our Discord. So if you have specific questions, whether it comes to mechanics, crunch, or roleplay fluff, it's there.